the case of the people of the state of Colorado versus James Egan Holmes, case number 12 CR 1522. The record should reflect that Mr. Holmes is present with his attorneys, Ms. Brady, Ms. Higgs, Ms. Spengler, Ms. Nelson, and Mr. King. And the people are represented by Mr. Orman, Ms. Teach McGuire, Ms. Pearson, Mr. Edson, Mr. Brockler, and Mr. Edwards. And we're outside the presence of the jury. Are the parties ready for the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, and the defense ready for the jury?
Yes, and Your Honor, perhaps at the break, I wanted to ask the court whether it's still intended on taking this Friday off or not.
I'm glad you brought that up because I intended to ask you about that. We are scheduled to take July 31 off. In order to make up for the time we lost last Friday, we could work this Friday if it's okay with all the attorneys and if it's okay with the jury. So are the attorneys available to work on Friday?
We all have vacation plans for Friday, Your Honor.
Right.
No, of course, we're okay. Obviously, we need to ask the jurors.
Right.
We're available.
Okay, this is a jury that plans ahead. So my guess is that they probably will not want to do it, but I will ask. Okay, let's bring the jury in, please. Please be seated, everyone. The record should reflect that the jury's back in the courtroom. I hope you had a good lunch, folks. It's supposed to be almost 100 today. Is it that hot out there? Not really? Somebody says pretty close, somebody says no. Okay. That explains why some of you wear t-shirts and others wear sweaters. Let me ask you a question on schedule. As you know, we ended up taking last Friday off. We're scheduled to take next Friday off. We would only change next Friday from an off Friday to a working Friday if all of you are okay with that. So if you're not all okay with it, we won't do it. But I'm throwing it out there so you give it some thought. Maybe during the break you can let my staff know. In the past, you have tended to make plans in advance, which I don't blame you for. So if you've made plans for July 31st, this Friday, then we will plan on taking it off. But if you are all okay working on Friday and want to do it, then we'll change it. So you don't need to give me an answer right now. give it some thought, and then if you could let my bailiffs know whether you're available or not and whether you wish to change it or not, and we'll go from there, okay? Just figure I would ask because it would allow us to make up for last Friday, but we don't have to do that, so. All right, Ms. Brady, you may call your next witness, please.
Your Honor, we call Ryan Lacroix.
Good afternoon, sir. Could I have you raise your right hand for me, please, so that I can administer an oath? You solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Please be seated. Could you please tell us your full name and spell your first, middle, and last names?
Ryan Allen Lacroix, R-Y-A-N. Allen is A-L-A-N. Lacroix is L-A-C-R-O-I-X.
Ms. Brady, you may proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Where do you live?
Currently, I live in San Diego.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a graduate student at UCSD,
And what are you studying?
bioengineering.
Mr. Lacroix, do you know James Holmes?
Yes.
And do you recognize him here at defense table with us?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury how you know Mr. Holmes?
My first year of my undergraduate studies at UC Riverside, I lived in the same wing in the dorm rooms with him.
In UC Riverside, is that University of California, Riverside?
Yes.
Okay. What year did you begin at UC Riverside?
I believe it was 2006.
All right. And you said you shared a dorm area with Mr. Holmes?
Yes, the way the dorms were set up, there was kind of 4 rooms in a wing and 2 people per room, so there was 8 of us in the wing. And he was in the first room, I was in the third room.
All right. And was that dorm the honors dorm?
Yes.
What did it take to be in the honors dorm?
I don't actually remember what the qualifications were, but I mean, basically the top 12, 15%, I don't know exactly what it was, of students were administered to or allowed to stay in the honors dorm.
All right. And so he stayed in one room and you stayed in one of the other 4 rooms, basically? Yes. Did you get to know Mr. Holmes, and that was your freshman year?
Correct.
Did you get to know Mr. Holmes during that year?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury a little bit about that, how you got to know him and what your thoughts were about Mr. Holmes during that time?
Sure. Well, I mean, if anybody's familiar with the dorm life, you get to know everybody, whether you want to or not. So it's a very social environment. So very quickly you start making new friends. And I made friends, I think, first with his roommate, Dale. And then, you know, it's just a matter of time sort of before you get to know the roommates. And that's how I got to know James. And, you know, there was kind of a group of us in the dorms that used to just kind of do everything together. We'd go eat every day pretty much in the dining halls, go do social activities, things of that nature.
Your Honor, if I can approach Mr. Lacroix with D-TR-270 and 271.
Yes.
And Mr. Lacroix, do you recognize those 2 exhibits?
Yes.
Can you tell me what 270 is, please?
Well, that's I would assume near the entrance of one of the streets going into the college.
Does it look familiar from UC Riverside?
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember the sign specifically, but I mean, there's lots of signs that tell you where you're at there. So.
Okay. And does that look like something that would be on campus there?
Certainly, certainly.
And what about 271?
Yeah, I mean, that was sort of the group, if you will, that we would often do lots of social activities together.
And do you see Mr. Holmes in there?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Your Honor, I would move to admit 270 and 271.
Is there any objection?
No, Judge.
All right. Without objection, D-TR-270 and 271 are admitted and may be published.
And before we do that, Mr. Lacroix, I put a marker up there. Would you mind circling the head of Mr. Holmes so the jury will know which one he is?
Sure.
And if we can publish 270, please. It's going to go up on that big TV right there. Is that one of the entrances that you were describing?
Yeah, I don't specifically remember it, but there's also lots of construction on campus, so sometimes new things pop up.
Okay, what about 271, if we could publish that, please?
Yeah, that's him in, maybe third from the right in the back.
So if you're talking about as you face the picture, the right, there's a guy in a red shirt, a guy in a gray shirt, and then
James.
right there?
Yeah. Yes.
Where that
Cursor is.
cursor is, all right? And, thank you. And does that show sort of the group that you guys hung out with your freshman year of college?
Yeah, I would say that's sort of more the extended group. There's kind of, sort of subgroups. So that included some people that weren't always around
Right.
as well, but yeah, for the most part.
And you can take 271 down, thank you. Explain to the jury what your observation was as to how Mr. Holmes interacted with the others in the dorm and even outside the dorm.
I would say he was very shy socially. It sort of took a little bit of work to get him to kind of come out with us. Because we'd go in there, hey Dale, you want to go to lunch? James, why don't you join us, kind of thing. It took a little sort of egging him on. Once he sort of got comfortable with us, then it was seamless. Then it was as if it never had to happen. And then at that point, then it's just part of the gang, if you will.
Right, and was he ever the kind who would initiate the going out? Would he ever get the group together to go out?
No.
All right, but once he got a little more comfortable, he would go out if you sort of egged him on to go.
Well, you didn't have to egg him on at some point. Once, hey, we're going out to eat. Okay.
And he would go.
And he would go.
Right.
I would assume, once he sort of got comfortable with us, it was good for him, so.
And what were some of the other things that you guys would do as a group?
I mean, anything and everything that groups of college kids do. Sometimes we just go hang out, go eat. It's pretty common to go. There's a Mexican restaurant. It's pretty common to go at ridiculous hours of the night to go get a late night burrito. So we do things like that.
All right. What sort of things did Mr. Holmes like to do with his spare time?
He liked to play video games. I know he was particularly good at one of them. I think he was ranked like top 5 in the world at it.
What game is that?
That was Warcraft 3.
All right.
We watch TV sometimes. There was kind of in that wing of 8, there was like a TV in the common area, and I would see him watch TV out there sometimes.
What would you guys watch?
Well,
Do you remember?
yeah. So my favorite TV show is now The Office because he introduced me to it, actually.
All right.
And I still remember the episode where Dwight put a bat on Meredith's head. But anyways, I guess that's not important.
What else would you guys do?
We'd hang out. We went snowboarding. We went up to a trip. One of the people in the group, his uncle had a cabin up in the mountains, and so a bunch of us went up there on a snowboarding trip for the weekend, where you eat and you barbecue and start to stay warm, and then snowboard all day.
Did Mr. Holmes socialize outside of this group that you're describing?
I maybe, I don't know. We all have other people we'd hang out with that we met in our majors, things like that. You have other sort of groups of friends. If he did, I wasn't necessarily privy to that, but people knew about him. It wasn't like he was hidden on campus.
Any indication that he had any girlfriends during college?
No. I think he did have a crush at some point, but
That was about it.
yeah, that was about it.
All right. Did he tell you a lot about his family or his background or anything like that?
No, not really.
Do you have a memory of something funny that he did?
Yeah, so we were hanging out at somebody's apartment, and I think we were playing Truth or Dare or something, and somebody had brought a giant jar of pickles, and by giant I mean like 2.5 feet tall jar of pickles, which I had never seen before. And I think somebody dared him to walk down the hallway and ask everybody if they would like a pickle from this giant jar. And I remember he did, and I mean, maybe you had to be there, but it was pretty darn funny. We had a good time with that.
All right. Could he be funny at times?
Certainly, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He used to call coupons coops. I remember that.
Was he also studious, or how did he approach like his schoolwork?
Very studious, actually. He was certainly one of the smarter members in the group, and smarter members of the honors dorms, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, after, especially the first couple years, everybody kind of takes the same general classes before you sort of specialize. So, you know, everyone's always discussing their test scores, and he was always very high, if not the highest in the group.
Did you ever know him to get in trouble at school?
No,
Did you
not
ever
at all.
see him be mean or disrespectful to anyone?
No, actually, quite the opposite. He was fairly passive, actually.
Did you, when you shared that dorm area with him, did you consider him a friend of yours?
Definitely.
You know, what did you think when you heard that he was charged with killing some people in the theater?
The first thing I thought is, oh, James Holmes, it's semi-common name. It's got to be someone else. That was definitely my first thought, because, I mean, like I said, he was even more passive than the average individual, right? Certainly wasn't expected. And of course, you know, a few Google searches later, oh my gosh, that looks like him too. So, I mean, I didn't believe it. You know, even to this day, it's almost hard for me to still believe it. In my mind, they're still almost two separate people. The one, you know, I see in the media, and then the James I knew as an undergrad.
Completely out of character for him?
Definitely, yeah.
Right. Do you still consider him a friend of yours?
You know what? I would, if the circumstances were different. You know, I don't know how to answer that now. But if I were to see him on the street or somewhere, I would absolutely say hi and, how's it going? What's new? What you doing now? You know, absolutely.
And did you guys sort of go your separate ways after you shared that dorm space together?
Yeah. So after the first year, you know, you try to find cheaper housing off campus, and so I mean, you don't necessarily lose contact with them, but you see them in classes and on campus, and you know, if you see them in the dining hall or somewhere, you'll eat with them, but you won't sort of search them out anymore. So that's pretty much what happened there.
All right. I think that's all I have. The prosecution might have some questions for you, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Orman, do you have any cross-examination?
Briefly, Your Honor, thank you. What do you mean you would if the circumstances were different?
The James I knew, I would still consider a friend, but the one I see in the media, I mean, I don't think I would.
Does that have something to do with the nature of the crime that he's been convicted of?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you know, in my mind, it's almost two different people to me still, even though obviously it's not.
Can I have a moment, Your Honor?
You can.
Nothing else.
Do you have any redirect, Ms. Brady?
I don't. Thank you.
And the jury does not appear to have any questions. May Mr. Lacroix be released from his subpoena?
Yes, sir.
Is there any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Lacroix, thank you.
Do you want these?
Call your next witness, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. The defense calls Chris Holmes.
Good afternoon. Solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please be seated. Could you please tell us your full name and spell your first, middle, and last names?
Yes, full name is Chris Egan Holmes, spelled ChrisEaganHolmes.
Ms. Higgs, you may proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
I'm okay.
You've been here all day, yeah?
Yes.
Is this your brother here?
Yes.
Can you let the jury know what you call him by?
I call him Jimmy.
All your life you've called him Jimmy?
Yes.
Where do you live right now?
Right now I live in San Diego, California.
What do you do there for a living, or
Right now I'm just attending college full-time.
what are you studying?
I'm going to be receiving my certificate in music production, and I am on track to graduate with a bachelor's in computer science in the next 2 years.
How long have you been studying? Have you been going to college?
It's 4 years now.
Okay. Did you have a change in your kind of major and in your schooling at some point?
Several times. I changed majors a couple times, yes.
What did you start out with an interest in studying?
I started out in marketing.
And now you're in music?
Yes, finished music, and now I'm in computer science.
Okay. And is it your intention to kind of combine the computer science and the music together?
Yes, to create music technology programs.
When you made that shift from sort of marketing and that type of a degree and decided to go into music, how did your family feel about that?
They were fully supportive. Yeah, there were no objections or anything by either of them.
Is music something that's always been important to you in your life?
Yes, I started playing music, I believe, around age 8. I started piano and like clarinet and those sort of instruments.
Is that something that your parents encouraged?
Yes, definitely.
Did you ever kind of share that with your brother? I know we have heard, this jury's heard that he took piano lessons quite some years ago.
Yes, he played both piano and trumpet as well.
Did you share music with him, or were you kind of more passionate about it?
I was kind of a solo artist, I guess.
Okay. Is that something that he supported for you, your music?
Yes, he never had any objections either.
Okay. I wanna shift a little bit, and we're gonna come back to talking about your brother. But I want to talk to you about your family. And let's start with your relationship with your parents, okay?
Okay.
How would you describe your parents to this jury?
My parents are incredible. Yeah, I feel like I'm luckier than most to have the parents that I do. I think my brother and I are both really lucky. I mean, they've always put a shelter over our heads. They've worked really, really hard to always put food on the table and send us to the best schools and support us in music or sports and whatnot. So, yeah, I love both my parents. I think they're incredible.
Do you think that they were involved in your life, in your school, and things like that?
Absolutely, yeah. They always checked my homework at night and things like that, and they were at every concert and every sports practice or sports game, whatever it happened to be. They were always there.
Did your dad help you with your homework?
Yes, my math homework.
Mm-hmm. And what about your mom?
My mom was more of the English literature, essay writing helper.
Did you see them do that with your brother as well?
Yes, I saw my dad help a lot with my brother. I'm not sure if my mom helped my brother, to be honest, but
With his schoolwork and such?
yes.
In your memory, looking back at your life with your family, were your parents, you said they came to like concerts and things that you did?
Yes.
Did they do the same with your brother?
Yes. Yeah. My dad coached his soccer team and things like that. So yeah, they were both actively involved in what he was doing.
Okay. And you also went a lot to some of those events when they were going, is that right?
To my brother's events?
Uh-huh.
Yes. Yeah, I would tag along and hand out oranges and things like that at soccer games.
Yeah. Do you think that, did your parents make you feel loved?
Yes.
said that they supported you and your decisions and your interests. All the things that you described about how you feel about your parents, do you think they gave all that to your brother as well?
I think they did, yes.
Did you see that they showed him love,
Yes.
concern,
Yes.
support?
A lot of support.
Are your parents, between your mom and dad, are they similar or different?
Like my mom versus my dad?
Mhm.
Different.
Describe them personality-wise from your perspective for this jury.
Sure. My dad's a little more conservative and mathematical and analytical versus my mom is a little more creative and open and free-flowing, I would say.
When you say that your dad is analytical and mathematic, how does that express himself? How does that manifest? How does he express himself with people?
He can be very analytical of situations, and it tends to be oftentimes in his head, so he can be a little bit socially awkward, for lack of the correct word probably, but yeah, he has a little bit of social awkwardness because he is so, his brain is always analytically thinking about things.
Which one was the disciplinarian in the home?
My mom.
How did that affect the way you related to her?
We clashed heads sometimes, but I think most daughters probably do with their parents. But yeah, in some ways it strengthened it because she taught me to respect her and respect authority in general. But I definitely clashed heads a couple times with her.
Same with your brother and your mom a little bit?
Yes.
Okay. Anything about that you felt was out of the ordinary between children and parents?
No.
Okay. You said something right there about your mom, like you were kind of grateful that she taught you to respect her, that there were things that you got out of that.
Yes.
What would you say were the other important things that your mom taught you and your brother?
Both parents instilled in us that a hardworking ethic and to do really well in school, and from a very young age they taught us to treat other people how you would want to be treated.
Do you I may come back to that. In the later years with your mom, as you've kind of grown up into adult, how old are you now?
I'm 22.
You are how many years younger than your brother?
5 years.
As you've sort of come into an adulthood, how has the relationship with your parents changed?
It's gotten a lot better, I think. After I stopped being a teenager, I think it improved a lot, and going away to college and learning how to pay bills and all that it takes and how hard working is, I think I gained a lot of respect for what they both have done.
Okay. So you no longer live at home. Are you off on your own independently?
Correct.
Okay. When you talked a little bit about the differences between your mom and your dad. Can you tell me about their relationship with each other?
It seems to be pretty solid. They never fought in front of us, I never witnessed them even being really mean to each other they would have clashes, but they were never fighting in front of us or anything. They were always really loving towards each other, very supportive of each other.
When you described your father's demeanor about sort of that he was always thinking in his head and it makes him a little bit socially awkward, was your brother at all similar to that?
I thought my dad was a little bit more, it took him a little bit more time to articulate what he wanted to say than it did for my brother.
Okay. Did you see that your brother was also on the quieter side like your father?
Yes.
Did you see on occasion that he was also a little bit socially awkward like your father?
A little bit.
But your father was worse.
Yes.
I know, is it a little uncomfortable testifying about your parents when they're sitting right here?
A little bit.
Okay. I appreciate you being willing.
Thank you.
Now, you talked about some of the things that you have learned from your parents, the respect, the hard work, treating each other as you would want to be treated. I want to ask you about some other things that seemed important to your parents. Was it did you guys go on a lot of family trips together?
Yes.
From when you were very young?
Yes.
Do you recall continuing those family trips even as you and your brother were teenagers?
Yes. They became less frequent as we got older, and when he went away to college, they became even less frequent, but we did still continue them, yes.
Do you think that was something important to your parents, that you guys regularly get together as a family?
Definitely, yes.
Why do you think?
I think they wanted a very strong family unit, and I think it was very important to them that they knew what was going on in our lives.
I'm going to show you a couple pictures. Your Honor, if I may approach, please?
Yes,
Your Honor, and I'll stipulate to the admission of these photographs.
okay.
I just want to talk with, I'm sorry, can you please just flip through those?
Got it.
Okay. And I know they stipulated for admission, I move for admission.
What numbers are they?
These are D-TR-205, 263, 264, 265, 266, and 212.
All right, without objection and by stipulation, D-TR-205, 212, and 263 through 266 inclusive are admitted and may be published.
Thank you. I'm not going to go through every family holiday with this jury. Suffice it to say there were a lot of them.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to talk about a couple of them and have you sort of explain them to your to this jury and what your relationship was like with your brother during those trips, okay?
Okay.
Can we get 1049? So can you tell the jury about what's depicted in this photo?
Yes, so my brother is on the left and I'm on the right, and this is in Big Bear, California on the lake.
Mhm.
And we are playing in bumper boats that have like super soakers attached to the front.
When you say Big Bear, that's in California, right?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury about where in California that is?
It's north of San Diego by a couple hours, kind of near LA too, in that general area.
Up in the mountains?
Yes.
Okay. Was that a place that you and your family went to regularly?
Yes.
Do you recall about what time frame this would have been in?
Probably around it probably would have been around 2008 or so, 2009.
Okay.
During the summer, I would guess.
When your brother was in college?
Yes, he would probably be home for the summer during
Okay.
that photo.
And so you guys are kind of playing
Yes.
in these boats. Were you competitive with your brother when it came to these kinds of things?
Yes.
Was it always good-natured?
I would say, I don't know, I was pretty competitive, so I guess so, yeah. It was good-natured, but I did want to win.
Okay. Do you recall having fun with your brother on these trips?
Yes.
I want to talk to you about, if we can get 550. Can you tell the jury about this family trip?
Yes, so this is when we went to Hawaii, more specifically Kauai, summer 2007. My brother's on the right, my mom's on the left, and I'm right in the middle.
Was this one of your favorite trips that you remember?
Yes, definitely. We went snorkeling and did a lot of really, really fun stuff on this trip.
Okay. Did you have a good time?
I did, yes.
It looks like your brother is having a good time.
Yes, I think he enjoyed it as well.
Did you guys do that kind of brother, that sibling sort of competition activity thing still?
Yes, we went kayaking and there was a competition between my dad and me and my brother and my mom.
Mm-hmm. Who won?
Well, if you ask me, I did.
Okay.
So.
In those sort of competitions, how did your brother deal with it if he lost?
He didn't seem to care.
It was all good natured.
Yes.
Now, if I can get 555, please, which is D-TR-264. What is this?
This is an autobiography board I did my freshman year of high school.
Okay. Was this something that you were required to do in school?
Yes.
Did you go to the same high school as your brother?
Yes.
Westview?
Yes, Westview High School.
Okay. Do you recall that he was also required to do one of these when he went through school?
Yes.
Okay. And the photo that we just looked at of Hawaii, do you see that one on the board?
Yes, at the very top.
Okay. How come that one made the board?
I thought it was really important because it's one of my favorite family memories.
You talked about sort of your family. It was important to your family to support you as kids, important to your parents, and that sometimes you would also, actually a lot of times, go along with your parents, as your brother, I assume, would go along with your parents when they would come to your activities?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Can we get 1129? And what is this a photo of?
This is my brother's high school graduation from Westview High School.
Okay. What year in school were you at this point?
That's a good question. I was probably 7th grade, maybe? 7th or 8th?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep the timeline straight?
Yeah,
But you were not yet in high school?
correct.
Okay. And you recall going to this?
Yes.
And did you guys have a celebration or anything about it?
Yes, a lot of our extended family was there and we all kind of celebrated.
Okay. I want to talk to you in a moment about extended family. Well, let me ask you a couple questions now. Was it common for you to see a lot of extended family members over the years?
Yes.
Okay. Your brother, after high school, where did he go?
After high school, he went to University Riverside.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever visit him up there?
I did.
Okay. Do you recall what year it was for him in school? Was it first, second?
First.
Okay. And if we can get 1067? Can you tell us about this photo?
Yes, this is at his homecoming for his first year of college at the University of California, Riverside.
Was this a trip you don't look quite so happy in that photo? Was this it? They just caught you off a little bit? Did you want to go on this trip?
Oh, I didn't mind. I thought touring universities was really interesting.
Okay. Was that something that you had thought about doing yourself? Maybe you were going to go to college?
Yes.
Okay. Was that something that your parents encouraged you all to do?
Yes.
Do you think it was important for them that you get a good education?
Yes.
How do you feel about that? Are you grateful for that?
Extraordinarily grateful. Yeah.
Okay, so you said a little bit, thank you. You said that you often saw extended family members.
Yes.
So let's talk about some of those family members a little bit. I understand you have some younger cousins,
Yes, 2 younger cousins.
and they are younger than you by how many years?
I want to say by 4 or 5.
Okay. So about 10 years younger than your brother.
Yes.
Do you recall seeing them on occasion?
Yes.
How was your brother, how did he interact with his younger cousins?
Both of them loved him. He was really good with them, and they would do puzzles or they would wrestle him or whatever it was, and they both really, really loved him. Sometimes I was jealous of how much they seemed to really like him. So.
Was that common in your experience that children kind of gravitated toward your brother?
I would say so, just based on the experience of my cousins, yes.
Mm-hmm. Did that bother him at all?
No, I think he liked it.
Okay. Was he patient and willing to spend a lot of time with them?
Yes.
You also, I want to talk about some other family members, in particular your grandmother Helen, and Your Honor, if I may, and your another uncle, and your an aunt. So if I may approach. And I move for admission of these. 152, 153.
No objection, Your Honor, we'll stipulate.
All right, by stipulation, D-TR-149, 152, 153, and 213 are admitted and may be published.
So who's your grandmother Helen?
That is my mother's mom.
Okay. What was her, Helen Egan?
Yes.
So your middle name comes from that side of the family?
Yes.
All right. Tell me what you remember about your grandmother Helen.
She was incredibly kind and very well-mannered and really patient with us as kids.
Has she since passed away?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about what kinds of things you and your brother used to do with your grandmother.
She lived in a retirement complex, so we would go swimming there and hang out with some of the other kids. And we would go to the movies, or she would take us to the Disney store, different things like that.
If I can get 1007. What's this a photo of?
This is a photo of my grandma Helen on the right, my brother Jimmy in the back, and me in the front. And we are at the retirement complex.
Is that where the pool is?
Yes.
And about how old do you think you are in this picture?
Best guess would probably be 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Putting your brother around 8?
Yeah.
Did you spend any summer, kind of like weeks in the summer with your grandmother?
We mainly spent Christmas with my grandmother, but we did see her occasionally throughout the year.
Okay. She would come see you?
More often we would go see her.
Okay.
She had the pool.
As you got older, did you continue to see her before she passed away?
Yes, we did.
And what kinds of things did you do when you kind of got older?
We would still go to movies, and we would just kind of talk and hear a lot of her stories and things like that.
Did she seem to you to want to be involved in your lives?
Yes.
Did it seem to you, did you feel loved by her?
Yes.
Do you think in watching her with your brother that she loved him?
Yes.
When she passed away, did you ever talk with your brother about that?
No.
Why not?
I think it was really hard on the whole family, and it just wasn't something that we wanted to talk about, I guess.
Was your family, was it typical for your family to talk about feelings?
In some part, but I had never experienced such a close family member passing away, so I don't know if I necessarily knew how to handle it.
Okay. Was it Was it common in your family to talk about difficult things like that?
When they happened, yes.
Okay. And talk about feelings about it?
Sometimes, depending on the situation.
Okay. Let's, can we get, who are Dex and Terry?
That is my aunt and my uncle.
On which side of the family?
My mom's older brother is Dex, who was married to Terry.
Okay. You said was.
Yes, they have both since passed away.
What do you remember about them?
Both were incredibly kind, and both opened my brother, like they wanted us to be there all the time and loved hanging out with us and doing activities with us. And were very interested in how we were doing.
When you say we and us, who are you referring to?
My brother.
Okay. And you?
Yes.
Did you go visit them quite a bit?
Yes.
Tell me about where they lived and what this place was like that you would go visit.
So the majority of the visits, they lived in Chico, California, which is more like Northern California.
Mm-hmm.
And we would just go, they had their own private like fishing pond, so we would go fishing, and they had horses, so we would go horseback riding and different activities like that.
They had it like a ranch?
Yes.
Okay. Did you and your brother go, just the two of you?
I was predominantly with the whole family,
Okay.
but we have gone alone as well.
Okay. If I can get D-TR dash, well, it's 152, which is number 3265. Do you recognize who's in this photo?
Yes, my Aunt Terry is on the right, I'm in the middle, and my brother's on the left.
When did she pass away?
Several years ago, probably, now it's got to be maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
Okay. And when did your Uncle Dex pass?
He passed away in 2012.
Do you know where this photo is?
This is I believe, Lassen National Park.
Is that also in California?
Yes.
Okay. Was this a trip that you did with your aunt and uncle and your brother?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know that this is one of the photos that your mom sent to your brother while he's been here in custody?
I did not know that.
Okay. This was not one of the ones she asked you about?
Oh, maybe she did. She asked me about a couple of them, but I honestly don't remember.
Okay. And if I can get 3266. And this is?
This is my Aunt Terry on the right, and I'm on the left.
Okay. Do you feel that they loved you and your brother a lot?
Yes.
And showed
definitely.
concern for you?
Yes.
Wanted to be around you?
Yes.
Did they have kids of their own?
No, they did not.
Okay. Do you feel that they also cared about your brother?
Yes.
Did your brother and Dex have sort of a special bond between the two of them?
Yes. My Uncle Dexter was very close with Jimmy, and then I was very close with my aunt.
Okay. You talked a little bit about, I asked you about doing the family vacations and that it was important for family to be together. Was one of the things your mom demanded was that you all got together for family dinner?
Yes, at 5:30 p.m.
Looking back at that, did you always like that when you were a teenager growing up?
Sometimes it was inconvenient, but looking back on it, I think it was a very good thing.
Why do you think they did that?
I think it was a good time for all of us to kind of reconnect and see how each of our days were, and I just think it was a good time to spend as a family.
Okay. If we can get, lastly, 994. Can you tell us what this is a picture of?
This is a picture of us at Christmas time.
You're the only one without a Santa hat.
Yes.
Is this common that your mom would get you guys together for family photos?
Yes.
You have a lot of these?
A lot.
Okay. And who's the dog in the picture?
That was our poodle, Rocky.
Did you guys always have pets growing up?
Yes.
What is the first pet that you remember?
We had a Labrador Zuby and a Sheltie named Wimby.
Okay. I'm going to circle back around to that.
Okay.
Do you think it was important to your parents that you had pets in the home?
I think so, yes.
Why do you think that was?
I think they wanted us to learn how to take care of something and how to be responsible for something else, and I think they wanted us to learn different skills in that sort of area.
Okay. If I can get 1076, please. And can you tell us where this picture is taken?
Yes, this is at my Aunt Betty's apartment, who is my dad's twin. And my Grandma Jane, who is my dad's mom, is on the right.
Okay.
Then it's my mom, then me, and then Jimmy is on the left.
What do you remember about your Aunt Betty?
Well, we would go there every Thanksgiving to her apartment, and she was always very nice and wanted to know how we were doing. But I could also tell that she was mentally ill in some form.
Is that something you ever talked with your parents about?
No.
Did they ever tell you what she had been diagnosed with?
No.
Was it ever a concern for you to know that?
No.
How often did you all visit with her?
At least once a year.
Okay. Usually around, what, Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving, yes.
Okay. Is that when this picture was taken, around a Thanksgiving?
Yes.
All right. I want to now talk a little bit more about your relationship with your brother. And I want to start with, if I can approach your honor.
Yes.
Sir, I'm going to move for admission of 6326268.
Any objection?
No objection.
All right, without objection, D-DR-163, 267, and 268 are admitted and may be published.
You've already said that you're about 5 years younger than your brother.
Yes.
Can you tell us what your first memories are about your brother?
I have a lot going back to like when we were little and like living in Salinas, and I would play sports with him and like basketball because we lived in a cul-de-sac, so I can remember playing basketball with him when I was really, really little. That's one of the earliest ones I remember.
Okay. When you're talking about Salinas, that's sort of in Northern California, south of San Jose, San Francisco area?
Yes, sorry about that. Yes.
That's okay. Do you recall about how old you were when you guys moved up there?
I would have been 2.
Okay. That's pretty young. And then how old were you then when you moved back down to San Diego?
I was 7.
Okay. So you have some memories of Salinas. I'm assuming that well, if I can get D-TR-163, which is 1016, please.
And Ms. Holmes, if you could move that microphone a little closer to you, please, to make sure we can all hear you. Thank you.
Got it.
Thank you. And who is that there in that photo?
I'm on the right and my brother's on the left.
You look pretty young there.
I would say I'm probably about 2.
When you were little, is this your experience with your brother, that he loved you?
Yes, when we were very little, yes, definitely.
That he really cared about you as a kid?
Yes.
Did you know how excited he was to have a little sister?
I did not know.
Um, what does it make you feel like to look at this picture?
Makes me happy, makes me sad at the same time.
Do you know that your brother used to read to you when you were a baby?
That's what I've been told, yes.
He used to try to feed you when you were a baby?
Yes.
As you guys got a little older, do you remember having fun with your brother?
Yes.
Building forts in the backyard, I think?
Yes.
That was up in Salinas?
That was up in Salinas, yep.
And is that where you had the dogs that you talked about, Zuby and Wimby?
Yes.
Did you do stuff with the dogs?
We would play fetch with them. Mainly the Labrador really liked to play fetch, excuse me.
Okay. Do you recall your brother loving those dogs?
Yes.
And you did too?
Yes.
Treat them well?
Yes.
Care about them?
Yes.
Both you and your brother?
Both.
Tell the jury about the secret treehouse.
So he had a secret tree house in Salinas, California that he built with all of his friends. And finally one day I got to see it, but it took a while. But eventually I got to see it. And that's another really early memory that I have. It would probably be like 6.
Okay. When you were in Salinas, did he have a group of friends that he would play with?
Yes.
And tell the jury about how you and your brother got along up there.
We got along pretty well. I am 5 years younger and wanted to do everything that he was doing. So sometimes I could be pretty annoying, but for the most part we got along pretty well.
Did he let you play with his friends sometimes?
Yes, for the most part, until
No.
I got too annoying, and then my mom would kind of have me do something else.
Okay. Do you remember him being pretty social up there?
Yes.
Did you like having a big brother?
Yes.
Why?
It was nice to know that I had someone who was always there and that lived in the same house as me and that I could talk to.
Do you feel like he had your back?
Yes, especially when we were younger.
So you said you would get annoying at a certain point in time when he's hanging out with his friends because you always wanted to be around him. When that would happen, did he ever tease you in front of his friends or anything like that?
No,
Embarrass you in front of his friends or anything like that?
not that I can recall.
Okay. After you guys moved from Salinas, you came back to San Diego, is that right?
Yes.
Now, there's a couple other things actually before I get there that I want to talk about when you were little. And can I get 2409? Do you recognize this? This handwriting?
That's my handwriting when I was very little.
Uh-huh. It gets cut off a little bit at the bottom, but you have the note there in front of you. Can you see the date on it in the bottom? Right?
March 31st, 2001.
Is this a note that you wrote to Jimmy years ago?
Yes.
Can you read it for the jury?
Sure. Dear Jim, what instrument do you like the best? I like how you play the piano. You should play it for me one last time before college. Love, Chris.
You were already thinking about college in 2001?
Yes.
What were you?
I would be 8.
Okay. What do you think about when you read this note?
It makes me think that we used to be very, very close and that I love him a lot.
Can we get the next one, which is 2400? So whose handwriting is this one?
This is my mother's handwriting.
And what's the date in the top right?
January 22nd, 1994.
How old were you on January 22nd, 1994?
1.
Is this a note that your mom wrote from your brother to you?
Yes, my understanding was my brother said it to her and then she wrote it down.
Okay. Can you read that for us, please?
Sure. Dear Chris, I love you, Chris. I wish you could play basketball and soccer with me. I wish you could play light bright. You have soft, cute skin. You are a happy baby. I wish you could play marbles with me. You can when you grow up. You need 4 more years. Love, Jimmy, your brother.
How's it make you feel when you see that?
I think it's very cute, and it makes me know that he really does love me. Even when I was only 1, he was happy to have a sister.
So I want to talk a little bit about how your relationship changed or evolved as you guys got older. You said you were, was it 7 when you moved back down to San Diego?
Yes.
And your brother was around 12?
Yes.
So he was going into middle school and you would have still been in elementary, is that right?
Yes, I was in 1st grade, and he was in 6th.
Okay. Do you have fond memories still of that time of continuing to play together, or did your relationship kind of change a little?
I think it changed a little because I think moving was really hard on him.
Mm-hmm. How do you think your relationship changed?
We stopped playing together as much, and like playing sports or whatever it happened to be. We didn't spend as much time together.
Okay. What do you attribute that to?
I'm not sure. It might be stress of the move and having to kind of restart everything.
Mm-hmm. Even though you didn't play together, did you still love your brother just as much?
Yes.
Do you think he still loved you just as much?
Yes.
Now, as you go through elementary school and into middle school, and your brother goes into high school, how did your relationship evolve?
As he went into middle school, or as I went into middle school? I'm sorry.
As you guys were getting older, you were going up through into middle school, he's going into high school.
Yes, sorry about that.
Okay.
It evolved. We became more distant as I became a teenager, and then after he went into college, it got better. But there was some rough patches when I was a teenager.
What do you attribute that to?
Teenage angst.
On whose part, yours or his?
Maybe a little bit of both.
Okay. So how would you describe that period of time between you and your brother?
Distant
Okay.
in some form, yeah.
Didn't get along as much?
Not as much.
Were you guys doing separate activities, separate friends, kind of finding your own way?
Yes.
All right. Did you ever take that to mean that he didn't care about you?
No.
For you, did that mean you didn't care about him?
No.
Do you think that that was just part of you guys getting older and finding your own way?
I think so.
Okay. We saw that picture of you going up to visit him at University of California, Riverside.
Yes.
When he went off to college, did you write to him, call him on the phone, anything like that?
I talked to him on the phone, but it wasn't often, and we didn't write or anything.
Okay.
But he did come home for the summers and all of the holidays and things like that.
Shocking you didn't write letters. Was writing letters really sort of like snail mail the thing to do as you were growing up?
No.
More communication digitally?
Yes, I would say so.
Okay. So did you email him or text him a lot?
No, not often. We didn't really speak. I think he was busy with college, and I was busy with my friends and whatever else, so we weren't in constant communication or anything like that, no.
Do you think part of that had to do with your difference in age?
It might have, yeah. I could see that, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. Are you one to write a lot of letters or send a lot of emails? Is that your habit?
No.
Did you ever take that to mean that you guys didn't care about each other anymore?
No.
Okay. When you were living in San Diego and your brother, you said the move was hard on him, and you said that when you were up in Salinas, he had a lot of friends and was part of sort of a social group of kids. What was your experience with regard to that with your brother down in San Diego in middle school and high school?
Well, in Salinas, California, he had a lot of friends over all the time, and when we moved to San Diego, he didn't, and I think it took him a lot longer to make friends.
Okay. Was there ever an occasion you remember him having friends over?
Yes, yeah, he had friends over They played ping pong, things like that.
Okay. But it was much less common?
Right.
Okay. I want to sort of talk to you about some ways that you and your brother are different or the same. Do you think that you're really similar to your brother, personality-wise?
I don't know. I think I've heard my whole life that we have very different personalities, that I tended to be the more extroverted and he tended to be the more introverted.
Okay. What about his, was he like an organized kid?
Yes, definitely very organized, and I was not.
Okay. Did he ever sort of talk to you a lot about what was going on with him or what he was doing or what was going on in school, even when he was living at home?
Not with me, no.
Okay. Did he seem to be more kind of private about that stuff?
Yes,
But did he ask you about what you were doing?
that was more common. Yeah, he would sometimes ask me, especially as we got older.
Did he seem to be concerned about you and how your life was going?
When I got to college, yes.
Okay. Did you ever see him bring a girlfriend home?
No,
Did he ever talk really about girls?
not really. I can only remember like maybe one or two specific instances.
Okay. Did you ever see him around girls?
Only one or two specific instances, yeah.
Okay. Was that pretty awkward?
No, not like super awkward, no.
Do you remember saying that with girls other than his sister, he seemed to be a little bit more awkward or shy?
Maybe a little more shy,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. You didn't see it as awkward?
I didn't see it as awkward, but when I did see him with girls, it was also, I was with my parents, so that might have been a contributing factor.
Okay. I want to talk to you a little bit about when you heard about this case. Everything you know about your brother, were you shocked?
Yes,
Was it completely out of the blue for you?
yes,
Completely out of character for him?
I thought so.
Since this case, have you been able to visit with your brother?
I have only been able to see him once.
Okay. Do you know what time frame that was?
I want to say it was around May 2014.
Okay. How was that visit for you?
It was pretty good. He was more responsive than I thought he might be.
Did you think he was happy to see you?
I thought so.
Okay. Were you happy to see him?
Yes.
Did he seem different at all to you?
Yes.
How?
His eyes seemed a lot different, and his whole demeanor in general was a little bit different than when I had previously seen him.
Mm-hmm. Did he seem emotionally uncomfortable at times?
Depending on what we were talking about, yes.
Okay. Was that different for you?
I would say so. Yeah. It was a lot of one-word answers instead of what would normally be a complete sentence.
Okay. When you were growing up with him, I mean, your his family, did it always seem kind of more comfortable around you guys?
Yes.
Did you get the feeling that that was a little bit different when you went to visit him?
A little bit. I think there was some tension.
Mm-hmm. But some happiness to see you?
Definitely. I think we were all happy to see each other.
Okay. Have you also come to court?
I have.
Okay. To see him?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
I've been to the hearings twice, and it was nice, even just to be in the same room.
Is some of this kind of hard for you to talk about?
Yes.
Did your brother acknowledge you when you came to court to see him?
He smiled.
Did you share that smile with him?
I did.
How about writing him or sending him cards? Have you been able to do that?
Can't bring myself to do it, really. I'm kind of scared. I was
Okay.
kind of scared, too.
Okay. Kind of confusing, not knowing everything that's going on with this case.
Right, I wasn't sure. I was told that everything that I wrote could be used in the case, and I didn't know how everything worked, so I was really scared, too.
Okay. Did you know that your mom had been writing him?
Yes.
Was it important to you to let her know to send your regards to your brother?
Yes.
Did you do that commonly?
I tried to. Whenever I was with my mom, I would definitely try to.
Do you know that your mom sent him some photos of you?
Yes.
Okay. If I can approach with D-TR-172, 170, and 171.
Yes.
We move for admission of those three exhibits.
Objection.
All right, without objection, they're admitted. That's D-TR-170 through 172 inclusive, and they may be published.
If I can get 3180. Do you recognize this photo?
Yes, this is at my grandma's retirement complex, and my brother's on the right and I'm on the left.
What are you doing?
We are riding bikes. Well, I'm riding a tricycle.
Is that something that you remember doing with your brother when you were little?
Yes, and as we grew older, we did it as well. We both rode bikes.
Did you know your mom sent him this photo? in the
Yes.
mail? How'd you feel about her sending that?
I thought it was good. It showed that there was a time when we were happy.
And if I can get 3179 and tell us about this picture.
That's me on the right and my mom on the left.
And when was it taken?
Pretty recently.
Okay. And there's a similar one, if I can get 3178. Who's here?
That's my dad on the left and I'm on the right.
Taken at the same time as the other picture?
Yes.
What was the... Why did you guys take these pictures?
My mom wanted to send them to him.
So you knew that was the point when you took the photos?
Yes.
I think this might have been around your birthday last year,
Yes.
which would have been around December.
Yes.
Was it important to you that your brother see your support in these photos?
I would say so. I think it was important that he knew that I supported him at all.
Is that part of what you were trying to convey in taking these photos and having your mom send them?
I would say so.
I'd like to approach with, this is D-TR-269 and D-TR-168.
I object to 269. May we approach?
Yes.
168.
Ms. Tish McGuire has withdrawn her objection to D-TR-269. Therefore, it is admitted without objection, and then there is no objection to D-TR-168, so that is admitted as well, and both of them may be published.
If I can get 570, please. So what is this a photo of?
This is a photo of my brother's autobiography board from ninth grade.
Like the one that we saw that you did?
Yes.
And what's in the bottom right-hand corner?
There was supposed to be a picture there, but I took it off.
When did you take it off?
2 minutes after I found out what happened.
Why did you take it?
I took it because I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if the FBI or whoever was in my home at the time was going to take everything from my house. So I wanted one big... Sorry.
It's okay.
I just wanted one picture of us.
And can I get 1046, please? Is this that photo?
Yes,
What are you guys doing in this photo?
we're flossing.
Where is this photograph now, the one you took from the board?
It's in my room. It's my current room.
Do you take it out on occasion?
Occasionally.
How do you feel when you look at it?
Objection relevant.
Overruled.
Sad. Just sad.
I want to talk to you about some things that your brother was not, okay? In your life growing up with your brother, would you ever say that he was a mean person?
No.
Mean-spirited? Was he kind to your friends and your family, your pets?
He was kind to all of them, yes.
Would you describe him personality-wise as somebody who was ever like a poor loser?
No.
Would you describe him ever as selfish,
I wouldn't say selfish.
self-centered?
No.
Can you explain to the jury why you would never describe him that way?
He never wanted to be the center of attention, and he liked to keep how he was feeling to himself so that he didn't burden others. And he just always was looking out for my mom and wanted to make sure that my mom was okay and taken care of.
Was he ever a kid that was getting into trouble?
No.
Growing up, do you think he was a good brother to you?
Yes.
Even during the years that you guys weren't in touch as much?
Yes.
Do you think he loved you?
I think he loved me very much.
You think he still loves you?
I think so.
You've been here today and you've heard some hard testimony about your brother's illness.
Yes.
Was that difficult for you to sit through?
Objection relevant.
Sustained.
Did you ever think growing up that he was mentally ill?
No, but I didn't know anything about mental illness.
Do you think that this illness is something he ever wanted to suffer from?
No.
Is it important to you in your life to continue to keep in touch with your brother?
I think so, yes.
Okay. Do you plan to visit him when you can?
Yes.
Do you plan to write to him if you can?
Probably more visit than write. I'm not a very good writer,
Okay.
but probably on his birthday I'll send him a birthday card.
You want to continue your relationship with him?
Yes.
In the future, if there's things that you can do to help him, Do you want to be able to do that?
Yes, I think it'll be up to me when my parents pass away, so I do want to do that.
After it all, is he still your brother?
Yes,
And do you still love him?
I still love him.
I don't have any other questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Teach McGuire, do you have any cross-examination for Ms. Holmes?
Moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, the jury may have a question for you, ma'am, so give us a moment, please.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you. Would counsel please approach? Ms. Holmes, the jury has submitted a couple of questions that, based on the rules of evidence and other applicable rules of law, I have determined are appropriate. The first question is, how did James's eyes seem different when you visited him at jail?
That's a good question. So the main difference that I noticed in his eyes were that they were almost bulging out of his head in a way.
And the next question is, what did you mean that he always wanted to make sure our mom was taken care of? Was he concerned about that?
Yes, he was concerned about our mom, and he had expressed that he wanted to support her financially later on in her life and things like that, and he would always make sure, like if we were hiking, that he would stay with her and make sure that she was okay.
Any follow-up questions based on those questions, Ms. Higgs?
No, sir, thank you.
Any follow-up questions from you, Ms. Teach McGuire?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Holmes, be released from her subpoena.
Yes.
Any objection?
No objection.
Ms. Holmes, thank you.
Thank you.
Members of the jury, it's 3:25, so it's time for the afternoon break. Let's go ahead and take it now. Please make sure you follow all of my advisements during the break, and I'll see you back here in 20 minutes. Thank you. Please be seated, everyone. The records reflect the jury has exited the courtroom. Is there anything that we need to talk about at this time on behalf of the people?
No, Your Honor,
No?
thank you.
And anything on behalf of the defense? No? Okay, I'll see you after the break. The court will be in recess. Thank you.